Hi, I'm Jennifer Beckstrand, and this is Jennifer Beckstrand's 10-Minute Book Club. Thank you for being here tonight. I so appreciate it when you join us for these really fun book clubs. Tonight, I'm interviewing Maribelle McCrea, and she's got a new book, and you're going to love hearing about it, hearing about living in the South and Gone with the Wind. Just a lot of fun Southern references in this interview. Please be sure, if you haven't, to go to my website and sign up for my newsletter because you'll be able to download a fun Christmas book, Dandelion Meadows Christmas Kisses. It's hilarious and just a really delightful, sweet romance. So I hope you check it out. Also, remember that Maggie and Max is now on audiobook. The narration is delightful, and you're really going to love hearing that. It's a fun, Wild West kind of a story, but a sweet romance, really romantic and really exciting. Now I'm really excited to introduce Maribelle McCrea. Maribelle, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I want to hear, so Maribelle McCrea is your pen name. So I would love to hear how you came up with that name.
Wonderful. I am from the South and I absolutely love everything Southern. And from the time I was a little girl, I would watch Gone with the Wind when it came on once a year. And I would beg my mom to let me stay up past my bedtime so I could watch all of Gone with the Wind. And I've watched it every single year since then, without fail.
Oh, wow.
At least once a year. And in Gone with the Wind, the movie, the book is a little bit different, but in the movie, there is a scene where they are all about to dance the Virginia Reel. And as a fundraiser to raise money for the Civil War, for the South, they are having this bazaar. And at the bazaar, there's this dance. And so Dr. Meade gets up and says, if you want to choose your partner for the Virginia Reel, you must bid for her. And so a man jumps up in a soldier's uniform and he says $20, and he has a Spanish accent. $20 for Miss Maribell Merriweather. And there was something about that name, Maribell, that I just loved. I was like 8. And ever since then, Maribel has stuck in my brain. And I wanted to name my little girl Maribel, and my husband was not having it. I wanted to name her Tallulah after Tallulah Bankhead, who was a 1920s movie star from Alabama. He wouldn't have that either. So I named my pen name Maribel, and then McCrea is a Scottish family name. And my very first book, the main character's name was Tallulah. So I got to use both my names.
I love that. Yeah, naming babies can get a little tricky when you kind of have a disagreement between the spouses, but I'm glad you got to use both those names.
Yeah, you know what? I'd have become a writer a whole lot sooner had I realized that was going to be one of the perks.
Well, I think that's great. I'm glad you got to finally use both of those names. That's really a fun story. Yeah, I grew up in the time before VCRs. I'm trying to think. I was probably about 20, when VCRs really came in, and the one that we would watch every year was Wizard of Oz.
Yes, that's another one.
My sisters and I, we loved to do plays. And so one year I took my tape recorder and I recorded the audio to Wizard of Oz on my tape recorder. And then we put on a play of Wizard of Oz. I would listen to the tape recorder and I would tell everybody what their lines were. And then we did Wizard of Oz. It was hilarious. But
That sounds like so much fun, though.
oh, so much fun. Anyway, well, that is a great story. So tell us a little bit more about yourself and about your book that we're going to talk about today.
Absolutely. So, like I said, I am from the South. I'm from Georgia. I'm a fourth generation Atlanta native.
Hmm.
On my mom's side, we have immigrants mostly from Scotland, with some from Ireland. And on my dad's side, I'm largely Native American Indian, Creek Indian, and a little bit of Cherokee. My three times great grandmother lived on an Indian reservation.
Wow.
And but then there's the whole rest of his family is German. So go figure. But they're all from the Atlanta area. My parents grew up in downtown Atlanta, and my dad would walk to get my mom to take her to the movies and pay a nickel to get in. So those were the days. And I started being interested in writing when I was in high school. Had some really great English teachers who really praised the work that I was doing. But decided to get married and have babies, and life kind of got in the way. And very recently, really compared to the rest of my life, I started a corporate job that was out of Boston, but I worked remotely here from Atlanta. And in the course of getting to know one another, I had mentioned that one of my hobbies was writing. And I had stumbled across NaNoWriMo and didn't know anything about it, but I thought about doing it. And he said, well, if you need to clock in a little bit late in the mornings for work or leave a little bit early so you can get your word count in every day, I think you should do that. Well, then I had to.
Yeah.
Because he'd given me such a generous offer, and he was now my accountability because he was going to ask me about it. So I had to do it. And it was the perfect push. It was great. And so that was my foray into writing my first full-length novel. I was like a lot of writers. I would start something, I would be overly critical and pick it apart and never finish, and start something new and not like that either. So that project pushed me to start something that I actually finished.
Oh.
And then I had a health scare come up, and I was able to, through working through all that, and everything resolved well, and I'm healthy and happy and everything's great. But my doctor advised me that stress was the main reason why I was so sick. And my sweet, wonderful husband said, well, we've been talking about retiring early. Let's just pull the trigger. And then you can write full time if you want to. You can heal, you can rest. And it has just been such a blessing. And I've written full time ever since.
Wow.
And so I do have 9 other books that I've written independently, a 10th book that I co-wrote with a friend that I met on Facebook in a writer's group. And I decided to take on my biggest challenge yet, which is to write a dual timeline
Oh, yeah.
and do it well.
That is a big challenge. So tell us about that book. It's a dual timeline.
It is. It's called The Echo of Home. So it's the book that comes out May 19th. And it's about Callie and Leland. And the flashbacks take place in 2008 and 2009 at Georgia State University in Atlanta.
Okay.
And then it goes to present day, April of 2025. So it's very, very current. And just finessing and learning how to skillfully transition between memories and present day without it being jarring, and taking that reader through the process in a way that feels elegant and tender and doesn't break the flow was really, really challenging. It was super fun, but I did a lot more rewrites than I've ever done before, because I'd get a brainstorm and I would type something really quick, and then I'd leave it for a day and come back to it and go, oh, that's way more awkward than I thought. Same thing happens to me when I write notes. When I wake up in the middle of the night, I think I have this great story plot twist or something, and I write it down, and in the morning I read it and go, I don't know what I was thinking.
What was I thinking?
Before
I started, I don't know why. I learned very late, to keep a pencil and paper by my bedside. But before I did that, I'd wake up and think, oh, I've got to write that down. I didn't want to get out of bed. And so I would like move my lamp, from one position on the table to the other and think, okay, I will remember. I've moved my lamp. I'll remember what I thought about. Nope, didn't ever work.
Well, even my husband said it was like a Seinfeld episode, because I wrote something down and then I'm showing it to him going, can you read this? Is this a sentence?
Yeah.
It's like, you're like Jerry writing down the joke in the middle of the night. I've really fallen in love with Callie and Leland. I really like to write strong women who aren't necessarily looking for the prince to come rescue them. And then they discover that doesn't prohibit them from being soft and tender and allowing a gentleman to be chivalrous
Mm.
and to be the hero, that it does not diminish them in any way. And I think that probably comes a lot from I'm the only girl in a family of 7 brothers.
Wow.
And so I fought against that stereotype a lot. I'm only 5'4". I'm fairly small boned. I look like I can't do much, but I have that feisty Tinkerbell kind of attitude where don't tell me I can't, because then I'll double the effort to do it. I like strong women. I think women like to read about strong women, but not so strong that there's any negativity towards men. But Callie is studying to be a nurse, and Leland's in construction. So very much down to earth characters who work hard, who have good work ethic. And all of those things are really important to me when I'm portraying the South. I know there's a lot of stereotypes, and so I'm always writing against type in that way.
Oh, interesting. So do you like that, the alternate time, the two timeline?
You
Do you
know, I
have a favorite
do.
movie that's that?
I was inspired by The Notebook.
Okay.
Nicholas Sparks does it better than anybody,
Hmm.
but I needed to take some liberties and switch it up a little bit because Nicholas is very famous for not having a happily ever after, not
Yeah.
in the classic sense. And so I didn't want women's fiction that probably wouldn't necessarily have to have that HEA.
Hmm.
I really wanted to stick to what my readers expect from me and my brand, which is definitely a romance, definitely a happily ever after.
Well, okay. Well, we're almost done because this goes so fast. Do you have any favorite romantic movies you want to share with us?
Yes, obviously, we've talked about Gone with the Wind, but my all-time favorite romance movie, and a lot of people are going to agree with me, is the 2005 Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yep.
I tell you what, I just stumbled across an interview where Matthew McFadden was talking about how he really didn't enjoy playing Darcy because he was so nervous that he wouldn't do it well. And then Keira Knightley juxtaposed to that is just raving about what a great Darcy he is and what a good job he did. And she talked about the scene where they're at the Folly and it's raining and they're arguing and they almost kiss. And the tension is just, oh, it's so chef's kiss. And she said that that wasn't planned. It wasn't scripted. It
Really?
was their chemistry.
Mm.
And I have chills, my hair on my arm standing up right now. So I'm such a romantic that when I'm in a funk or it's a cold, rainy day, cup of tea and Pride and Prejudice and leave me alone for an hour and a half, and I am right as rain after. It's just the best.
Oh, I know. Okay, here's your last question.
Okay.
You're stuck on a desert island. What 3 things do you take with you?
Well, I would have to say, first and foremost, the Bible.
Okay.
Um, I would probably take something to start a fire with, fire starter, flint, something. And then it wouldn't last very long, but I think I'd have to have some chocolate.
Mm.
I'm not going to have coffee. I got to at least have some chocolate for a few days.
Well, Maribel, thank you so much for being here. This has been
Thank you for having
just
me. It's
delightful.
fun.
It's so fun to talk to you. And readers, go check out The Echo of Home. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Bye, everybody.